If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw.
And I'm Sean Liang.
And we are joined by a good friend of CultureShock.com and frequent guest, film director Matt Campagna.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You always seem to come back for the lightning rod films of the year, Matt.
Well, what can I say? I pick them.
We're talking Nick Cage movies this month, but you want to talk Suicide Squad. Fair enough.
Which is, is shocking considering my half ironic, half unironic love of Nicolas Cage.
Oh, Nick Cage. He's a special man.
I feel like many of us feel the same way about Nicolas Cage, though.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but do all of us have a monthly Cage of the Month club that they go to? Because I do. It's basically a book club about Nicolas Cage movies, and I can't not go every week, every month. It's amazing.
That sounds like a great idea.
Oh, it's fantastic. If you guys want to set up international chapters, we'd be totally game for that. Seriously, check out Cage of the Month on Facebook. Last month was Outcast, which was just a garbage movie where Nicolas Cage was incredible, of course. And this month I think we're doing Con Air. It's solid choices. We have like a Powerball spinny thing with Nicolas Cage movies named on them, each ball. So every month we pick a new movie out of our Powerball. It's amazing.
That's incredible, actually.
Have you watched Peggy Sue Got Married yet?
No, but it's in the Powerball. It's a matter of time.
Heaven help you when you do. Heaven help you when you.
Dude, we've already been through both Ghost Riders. I got a high low bar at this point.
Fair enough. Speaking of high low bar, today we are going to be talking about another DC Comics film that is rife with fanboy hatred towards critics and just controversy coming out of every disgusting pore. Suicide Squad from 2016. My question to y'all is, what happens when you take an eclectic group of characters, a randomly thrown together soundtrack, but can't help make a good film? You get Suicide Squad, a.k.a. anti-Guardians of the fucking Galaxy.
Ooh, that's
yeah.
Film came out this year, directed by David Ayer, stars Will Smith, Jared Leto, Margot Robbie, Viola Davis, and a bunch of other people that barely get any time to do anything in the film, including Jai Courtney.
Joel Kinnaman.
Joel Kinnaman, the guy who isn't the guy from Tron Legacy.
Yeah, right.
Right. Jai Courtney, who is a poor man's Sam Worthington, who is in turn a poor man's Tom Hardy, who is in turn a poor man's Mel Gibson.
The funny thing is that Kinnaman he played the role that was going to be Tom Hardy's role if he wasn't stuck on The Revenant.
The IMDb synopsis for the film is, a secret government agency recruits a group of imprisoned supervillains to execute dangerous black ops missions in exchange for clemency, which inevitably leads to chaos.
Ladies, what if Superman had decided to fly down, rip off the roof of the White House, grab the president right out of the Oval Office? Who would have stopped him?
I want to build a team of some very bad people who I think can do some good.
Y'all jokers must be crazy.
I'm not just one of your many toys.
What?
Tell me what to do.
This is the deal. You disobey me, you die. Try to escape, you die.
You got a boyfriend?
You irritate or vex me,
I'm known to be quite vexing. I'm just forewarning you.
you die.
You don't own me.
If they get caught, we throw them under the bus.
Don't tie me down, 'cause I never stay.
What a ride!
Let's play.
Come on, got something better to do?
Light it up!
I love this guy.
Not good. Don't forget, we're the bad guys.
Are you sweet talking me? All of that chit chat's gonna get you hurt.
The back is ready to crack as he raises his hands to the sky. And the girl in the corner is everyone's fun. She can kill you with a wink of her eye.
Bye-bye. What you gonna do? You wanna see something? Y'all wanna see something? Yes, I wanna see something. I was just trying to get you there. You know how I feelings, right? We good.
What you having?
Beer.
Whiskey.
What am I, 12?
How about you, hot stuff?
Water.
That's a good idea, honey.
Sean, I'm curious what you thought since you're a resident not comic book fan.
Yep.
So, as a outsider looking in,
Yes.
what did you think of Suicide Squad?
Okay, you ready?
Oh, Jesus, don't do it,
Okay,
Sean.
I did not hate this movie. I thought that there were a lot of things that I questioned, but here's how I approach DC movies recently. I kind of don't expect to know and understand anything. And I have to say that for at least they did spend a good hour introducing all the characters, so at least I knew who they were.
Wait. They spent an hour introducing 4 characters.
That's the good point. But at least you know what I mean.
I thought they spent an hour introducing 2, because really, this movie, instead of being about a squad, was about Margot Robbie's character and Will Smith's character because they're the biggest stars.
Right, true.
But let's also be fair. Will Smith's character is just Will Smith.
Yeah.
Being Will Smith.
Yeah, if Will Smith was in some way tactically inclined, I feel like this is just him.
Right.
That's fair. I guess my point is I don't know anybody in this movie at all, except for the Joker, and only through the Joker, Harley Quinn. You know what I mean? That's the only, and I don't subscribe to that fan base, so I really don't know. That's all I know from the movie. So
you didn't have a dog in the fight.
Exactly. So that's all I had going into this movie is I just, is the colors and the outfits and a bunch of snotty lines from Harley Quinn that I thought were funny. So, it's perfect bait for me. But that being said, a lot of logical questions came to mind as to why the whole thing even happened.
Lot. Just a lot, not a fuckload.
No, there's a bunch. But overall, this movie was about, you're right, it was about giving these 2 stars sort of a little vehicle. And it definitely felt like it. But, I guess because I didn't have that dog in the fight, I didn't care. And that's kind of how I feel about, all of these movies that I'm seeing from Warner Brothers lately. So,
to be fair, you and David Ayer have something in common. You don't care.
Right, that's fair. But, I'm also not the helm of the movie. I'm not the helm of the production.
Well, let's be honest. I don't think David Ayer was either.
David Ayer was the helm of this movie until about 8 months ago. And then Warner Brothers was, and that's most of the reason this movie didn't make sense.
That's right. I do. That's a good point too.
In fact, for all the moments that Warner Brothers could step in and decide to make changes to their filmmaker's movie, to stop trusting their filmmaker, they didn't decide to do that when Zack Snyder was completely mangling Superman. They didn't decide to do that when he was mangling both Superman and Batman and Lex Luthor and the entire concept of any of those characters' interactions. They decided to step in when David Ayer was actually making what sounded like a pretty great film. And then they decided focus groups were necessary. A dark film, but also a redemptive film. Like Harley Quinn being in this awful relationship and wanting to be is dark.
Yeah.
The storyline was originally included her redemption and her cutting Joker out of her life. Like that's a powerful move that's telling the story of abuse instead of telling the story of being abused.
Yeah.
And I feel like of all the times, Warner Brothers, for you to allow your insecurity and your worry that a film director maybe wasn't following a vision worth following, you picked the wrong ass time to step in. The editor they had doing this movie 8 months ago was the editor of Nightcrawler, and the editor they had for the version we saw in the theater was the editor of The Green Hornet. And that tells you a whole fucking lot about the movie we saw versus the movie we might have seen. And that, to me, is the greatest tragedy of Suicide Squad. There's a good movie made by David Ayer in there somewhere, but it's been reshot, recut, chopped up, and every idea that I had at the end of this movie that would have made it better, I have read, since then, I have read a cut scene from the film that essentially answered that question, that essentially fixed that problem. And I just am so saddened for David Ayer that he had what sounded like a solid movie, and it got turned into this dog's breakfast mess.
That is really sad. And I think it's funny because I think the worst part about that is that I feel like all of those edits came in a response to how bad Batman vs. Superman was. And it's so ironic that they are going in and just as badly screwing up this movie. I think that's pretty sad.
Yeah, and the thing is that Warner Brothers clearly does not understand what the complaints were. The complaints weren't just that Batman v Superman was a dark movie. I mean, it's too late to fix the cinematography in Suicide Squad because it was kind of dark and hard to see a lot of shit. But the problems with Suicide Squad are not its darkness. The problems with Suicide Squad are its narrative confusion. And Warner Brothers just keeps greenlighting scripts that aren't the movies they're going to make. They greenlit a 200-page Batman v Superman movie. Well, guess what? You can't make a 200-page script into a movie you can release. That's not possible. That's a 4-hour movie. It's like they were surprised at the fundamentals of filmmaking. That's not going to work. And they did the same thing here where they greenlit David Ayer's awesome-sounding script, and then they decided that wasn't going to be the movie that was going to make it to the theater. And every time it's in the edit, they fuck it up. They fucked it up in Batman v Superman because they realized we can't make this 2 hours, so let's cut out the top and tail and basically make it look like the editor had a stroke for every scene, and it makes no sense by the end. Whereas
every scene has to be bookended by a Harley Quinn joke, by the way.
Yeah.
Like every scene has like an Harley Quinn joke and next scene. It's creative.
Which, you know what? I don't have a fundamental problem with that because that's the Harley Quinn that I know and love from Batman the Animated Series and comic books and everything since then. That's her character. So I think they didn't do a bad job of bringing her to the screen. What they did a bad job of was giving her character the arc that she deserved. And the arc is she's abused. She deals with that abuse. She goes back into the arms of her abuser. And then she realizes who she is and moves beyond that. That's the great Harley Quinn story. And that was in this movie until they cut it the fuck out because they're cowards. And I can't stand the cowardice behind filmmaking at this scale. The reshoots, the not believing in the filmmaker, the not believing in the script after you greenlit it. It's like, that's what screws up movies when you hire the right guy. What screws up movies when you hire the wrong guy is believing in them. And it's like, Warner Brothers, you keep almost getting it and screwing it up. It's just sad.
You know, I went into this movie with such low expectations, primarily because of how, and this is a phrase I've been using a lot recently because Batman vs. Superman, I think, is a huge just example, is Batman vs. Superman was aggressively a bad film. It is everything that I have a problem with what Zack Snyder is as a director. Style over substance, just everything that he does wrong, Batman versus Superman embodies that. And so going into Suicide Squad, I had extremely low expectations. I wanted to like the film. It has an interesting premise. The Suicide Squad from the comics is an awesome idea. But the film it takes characters that you know and love, does things with them that absolutely makes no sense. It has a character as a villain that is one of the worst comic book villains since the giant green space turd in Green Lantern. And then it can't even explain to me why the characters are doing what they're doing if you sit down and think about it for 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It doesn't take long to discuss this movie until you realize, oh shit, that didn't make any sense at all.
Right. That's my biggest problem with the film is you see Batman and the Flash in the film. Oh, cool cameos. That's fine. But it's never explained because Suicide Squad in the comics, they're sent to do things that even the superheroes won't do. Depose leaders, go to countries where, other superheroes don't feel comfortable going. And in this film, they are taking down a villain who is threatening a major city in this universe. Why the fuck wouldn't Batman or the Flash or Wonder Woman be handling this? Why would they have to go do it? That's never explained. They are going and doing something that a more qualified superhero should be doing, and they never explain that. You see Batman, you see Flash.
To be fair, they set up a premise here that is the promise of the Justice League. The idea that they need somebody to offset the next Superman that might want to tear the roof off the White House. The idea that they need somebody for that, I think, is really interesting because it's in a world without a Justice League. So I don't have a particular problem with that. The problem I have is that the genuinely superpowered people, like this is out of Batman's league. He wouldn't be able to do anything here. And frankly, it's out of the league of pretty much everybody but El Diablo in this film. But it's out of the league of so many of these people. But the thing that bugs me the most is that the Suicide Squad's mission wasn't even to stop the Enchantress, if you think about it. Their mission was just to get Amanda Waller and leave. And it was like, how the fuck is this what the government says yes to? The government says yes to a lady in order to save the lady like 8 minutes later. And it was just like the logic of this film to me, and I attribute this mostly to reshoots and sad attempts to cobble together a different movie than the one they shot. The movie just honestly didn't make a whole lot of sense. And the narrative fuck-ups all over it are mostly the hallmark of bad editing choices as a result of bad creative choices. And the bad creative choice here was, okay, David Ayer, your movie's too dark. Let's brighten it up a bit.
Well, and, you talk about, and this is a huge spoiler for the film, and I say huge spoiler jokingly because, this is the twist of the movie, is that they sent to save Amanda Waller. Why Batman or Flash could have done that?
Yeah.
That's my point. They are sent to do a mission that any other character in this universe who has metahuman powers, which every time they say metahuman, it just makes my head spin. It's just oh my god.
It's a word from the comics they've been using since the first Crisis, and so I that doesn't bug me so much because that's just the true adaptation of the comics, and so
but my problem is hearing it on the big screen is cringy, just as cringy as when, and this I swear this I know I'm probably gonna take flack for this, but hearing Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn say "puddin" in the movie, it made me uncomfortable.
Really?
Because it made me uncomfortable because I was like, it makes sense in the cartoon or in the comics, but when it's a live action movie that's trying to take itself seriously, has a character going puddin' over and over again, it's just like, oh my god, it doesn't mesh with this universe that they're setting down. And I'll take shit. I'm fine.
Yeah, you're taking shit from me because I was all in for that. I like that. I thought they did a good job of adapting that.
Well, I think
character was beyond one note.
I think that was a fault on Margot Robbie, to be honest. That's my opinion. I think that she was great at one thing, and that's what sold the film. But you're right. Like, there was no... I think that line could have totally made sense in this kind of world. But I just didn't feel like... She had some weird dialect thing also. Did you notice that?
Oh, her accent that disappeared and reappeared
that was
over
weird.
And over again. She had an accent, then she didn't. Every other line. Yeah, that.
Considering how much of the film was reshot, and considering the fact that this is a Brit doing, or an Aussie, I don't even remember, doing an American accent, there is a really fine line between like mid-American accent and like a Brooklyn accent.
Yeah, because
I feel like for people like us, we hear the difference. It's a huge difference because I'm from Toronto, but I've lived in LA and Philadelphia, and so those accents, I have a really accidentally developed ear, but I also have a North American ear to that.
Sure.
I feel like it was absolutely a creative mistake, and when you consider the amount of pressure that they were under to get the reshoots in order to still make their deadline, I can see how this got overlooked. And as a filmmaker, I've been guilty of other things in that realm, in the dialect realm. It's like the last thing you think about is, oh shit, did she say that right? But it's totally a mistake, and it's a filmmaking. When you're spending $200 million, you ought to get that right.
Truly.
Oh, you have to get it right.
But I think that this is coming from an actor, that's your sort of responsibility to sort of, keep track of that. So, like, I think it's a cohesive problem, obviously, definitely. But, that's one thing I have a problem with is that, like, was she perfect for this role? You know what I mean? And, like, she's a star, so like I can't gripe too much about that.
Is she perfect for this role, Sean? No, she wasn't, but she was a big name actress.
Right? No, of course.
Yeah.
I'm saying though, I'm just saying that this is what you compromise when you're trying to make a big flashy movie the way Warner Brothers does.
I don't know. I think she was perfect for the role. I think she was perfect for the role. I just think she wasn't. I think her dialect coach either dropped the ball or wasn't on set for some of it. And to me, as someone who makes films, to me, that is what it seemed like the hallmark of, because she was great in some scenes, in a lot of scenes, but then she totally dropped the ball. And I noticed the same things in a lot of movies, people just dropping their accents and then picking it back up later. And usually it's because of a low budget problem. So sure. I really have a hard time finding a reason here for that. I mean, even in David Ayer's Sabotage, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and a bunch of TV stars, that movie is a great example of characters just dropping their accent all over the place. And I don't think Ayer has much of an ear for it. That's the only thing I can assume from this. He's not very good at picking up on that. He seems like a more visual and a more like visceral mood of the shot kind of guy, and less of a detailed, is the voice quite perfect? And, different directors have different skills and different abilities. And I feel like it's David Ayer's responsibility and it's Margot Robbie's responsibility to have a dialect coach on set, keeping an eye on that.
For sure.
I honestly, I think Margot Robbie was miscast. I'll take shit for it. I don't care. Her character, to me, this is obviously a script problem. Her character in the script was one note. They also did something with the character that I found to be made no sense. I have never remembered in any Harley Quinn anything her wanting to have a normal life with the Joker.
No, that was ridiculous.
Which to me shows a basic fucking misunderstanding of the character on just the singular level.
Well,
that makes no fucking sense, and that's David Ayer.
That doesn't make sense.
That's on David Ayer.
Even if you're not a fan, like that didn't make sense at all. Like,
right? Like, I want to be with the Joker and be normal and have babies and live in a house. What fucking comic book are you reading, dude? What source material are you going to, other than just making Harley Quinn a stereotypical character? Because that's what that struck me as, is, oh, now she's a stereotypical female character who only ever wanted to have babies and procreate with her man. That's all that is. And it completely deflates the entire character.
The whole, at the very end, too.
And it's hard to say whether this is the result of the reshoot as well, because I agree with you entirely. But if the reshoots did anything, it was remove the notes from Harley Quinn and the Joker's relationship, because their relationship was originally, the weird, like, New 52 version of how she gets created, which involves chemicals. So she gets created, she's in an abusive relationship, and then she goes off with the Joker, And then when she's confronted with the Joker the final time with her friends that actually kind of respect her in a way the Joker never could, she chooses her friends over the Joker. Like, that was the original arc of this script and of this movie. Like, there's a version of this movie people have seen where this is what happened. And so when the reshoots came down and they said, okay, our test audience doesn't like the abusive relationship between the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Which is what it is in the comics, by the way, and always has been.
Yeah, and so they wound up instead going with this, like, mamby-pamby, their abusive relationship is something that doesn't go as dark as the original cut of the film. But then as a result, Harley Quinn also doesn't get to make that character-defining choice to leave him. And so that's what made this a one-dimensional role. She starts at the beginning and ends the movie in the same spot, which is, I want my pudding. And it's like, guys, that completely defangs a beautiful character moment in a time when we are totally prepared to watch deep and difficult and interesting abusive relationships play out on screen because we saw Jessica Jones last year. We're ready for comic books to give us this shit because Jessica Jones is the best comic book series of all time, in my opinion. And that storyline was so delicately and beautifully handled. And yet in Suicide Squad, Warner Brothers was afraid to even touch it. And so they cocked it right up by cutting it out and adding more of just the Joker having an abusive enough relationship to think, man, that's fucked. And yet not so abusive that we get to see Harley do anything about it. That is embarrassing.
And then making Harley Quinn want to be normal on top of it, which is just like the shit cherry on top of a shitty sundae.
And you know what? I don't know if that was part of the reshoots or not, but either way, I found that did not ring true for me at all. The madness of Harley Quinn is an important part of her character. And so her fantasy is not that the Joker wants to have kids and that they're just two lovely people. That didn't make sense at all.
No, and like I said, I'm just going to blame David Ayer because I don't know who wrote the reshoots, but he took responsibility for the film when he said, this is my cut of the film. And I know there's a huge thing where, well, if you're a filmmaker and you don't say that, then you could get blackballed like Mr. Josh Trank.
Yeah, then you might trank your film. And I just feel like Ayer kind of had to say this is my film, but we all know it's not. The fact that David Ayer's the kind of guy who you kind of expect to fight the power, and then he wound up towing the line, really surprises me.
This is the guy who said fuck Marvel, and then now he's just like, but this is my movie.
Yeah, it's a damn shame that this is how this went down, because I feel like Ayer had a cool version of this movie, and with any luck, since Snyder was able to get his bazonkers version of a too long movie released as an even too long, much too longer DVD, with any luck, David Ayer might be able to set a new precedent and have an alternate edit of the movie available on DVD. I would love that, because I really want to see David Ayer's version of this movie, because that was not it, and it disappointed me in a really spectacular way, because I wanted this to be the one DC movie that was good, because it didn't have Christopher Reeve and Michael Keaton and John Williams and Danny Elfman. It didn't have giants that it had to step into. It only had one giant. It had to step into Nicholson. And, you know, for people who liked it, it had to step into Ledger. But that was it. Everybody else in this is a cartoon character or a comic book character, and that's it. So all of these characters, you can say, this is my first take on this, and this is the first theatrical live action take. And I was really hoping they'd be braver. I was really hoping they'd be more committed and have more conviction toward what David Ayer had in mind. And it disappoints me more than anything. Batman v Superman didn't disappoint me. It made me mad. This movie just disappoints.
And what's really disappointing about it is they had a movie that they could have looked at as a success in taking characters that 90% of the people, like the mainstream people, have never heard of, and making a successful, beloved film. And that's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's the thing that drives me friggin' nuts.
This movie is anti Guardians of the Galaxy. It even does the shit with the music, which the music in this movie,
it's the worst.
fucking garbage. It's such fucking garbage.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
It is, I posted this on Facebook. Sick tunes, brah, the movie. Oh, Eminem and Kanye West. And then, of course, they had to throw in Bohemian Rhapsody at the end. It was so distracting in the worst way. And you know that they paid shitloads of money to get that music into the movie, too, which is the funniest part.
Oh, yeah.
The saddest thing is that Guardians of the Galaxy managed to take pop music, classic music, retro tunes, and use them in a way that was heartwarming and a part of the story in a huge emotional way.
And it defined the character of Peter Quill.
Yeah, absolutely. But this movie just seemed to pepper them in a vain attempt to give you basically emotion bait. To be like,
cool dude.
You already love this song, so we're going to put this song on top of this scene that's kind of garbage anyway, but this is going to make you love this scene. And it was just like, guys, some of us are more mature viewers than that. We can see what you're doing, and we realize that an extra, $1 million worth of music licensing isn't going to improve your movie.
Some of us are not 13, which is the base minimum age to watch this film. I mean, it's just... there's like 6 different songs in the first 10 minutes of the film. 6 different songs, because they're like, and this character gets their own song, and this character gets their own. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't care about the music, because it just feels like they're trying to divert attention from how bad the movie is.
Yeah.
Totally.
To be like, cool songs. Yeah. Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky when they're flying into the city. Isn't that funny?
The sky. Wow. Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about some of the casting choices is kind of the thing that a lot of people were anticipating with this film. Good anticipation, bad anticipation. Jared Leto is the Joker.
Okay.
So you're saying it wasn't good, Matt.
Disclaimer number 1. I cannot stand Heath Ledger's Joker. Mostly because that's not the Joker. That was a really neat character Heath Ledger played. I thought it was an awesome, really neat character, not the fucking Joker. And I mean, what's happening in the comics right now is really interesting, with the idea that there were 3 Jokers. There's some really neat stuff going on that actually has a very cool meta meaning today, where we have 3 Jokers in our lifetimes. I mean, Cesar Romero notwithstanding, there are 3 definitive film Jokers at this point, and unfortunately, one of them is garbage to me. Another one is basically even stinkier garbage to me, and then one of them is Jack Nicholson, pretty much in the live action Joker world, nailing it. Because to me, there's only one real Joker, and it's Mark Hamill, because that guy understands the Joker in a way not even Nicholson did. And I think that Joker, to me, one day will be on the screen and everyone will love it. And this weird, modern day gangster take on the Joker, I think, in theory, is a really cool theory. I love the idea that he was invented in the early 20th century as this gangster meets clown character. And so what do you do to do that in modern day? You make him like a gangbanger, tattooed up gangster. And that's a cool idea. But I just think Jared Leto screwed the pooch on this one, man. Terrible performance. The production design of him is a little, I could have maybe gotten behind it. I was starting to get behind it, but then I watched him play the character and just thought, nope, I'm out.
I'm curious, Sean, as a fellow actor, what did you think? And secondary question, who is your favorite Joker?
Okay.
If you have one, I mean, you probably don't.
I know, that's the thing. I really loved Heath Ledger, but that's because that's the first Joker I'd seen. And I totally understand. I hear you. I hear what you're saying, Matt. I don't really feel like I have a true opinion on Jared Leto because there was so much hype about him, and I feel like all of the cool stuff about what they did with the character was in all the promotions, for the movie. And he didn't really do anything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He was like, he wasn't that important in the movie to me. So I really don't, I guess he was okay. I can't say what he was like compared to I've seen Jack Nicholson's Joker, and I love that. To me, that whole movie is just a complete different style, but I love it.
It's good.
Right. Well, it's also,
it's a DC film that's good.
Exactly.
Shocker.
Because it commits to that world.
It's been a while since we've had one of those, so it's weird.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's tough. I thought they were brilliant forms of acting, both Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson. Totally different characters. I agree. Jared Leto is so like I can't say that he was a good Joker. I think he was an interesting guy. I don't know. I feel like there was so much more that we didn't see. I don't know. It's hard to have an opinion,
You know what my opinion is? I'm sick and tired of hearing about all the cool things Jared Leto did behind the scenes, like sending rats and sending anal beads. I'm sorry to tell you, but none of that matters when your performance is terrible.
Yeah, and you know what? It also doesn't matter when most of your performance is on the cutting room floor and we have to reshoot your scenes. That's the other fucked up thing about this Jared Leto Joker thing. We got to see Heath Ledger's Joker, but here we got to see Warner Brothers' panicked, watered-down version of the Joker. We didn't get to see David Ayer and Leto's version of the Joker because it was cut and changed and really ruined. And so I unfortunately have a hard time saying that I saw it. I saw something, but
I agree.
It wasn't what Ayer and Leto intended. And as a filmmaker who has been very close with some really great actors who have turned in some really incredible performances that haven't made it to the final product, it sucks, man. It's heartbreaking when you put that much work into something. Like Ari Millen from Orphan Black, he and I worked together on a film that we made years ago that nobody's seen the beautiful work he's done on the character he built, and that he and I really toiled together to make really beautiful. And it fucking blows when a studio or a producer just doesn't let it out. It's the worst. And I'd really like to see what Jared Leto has done. But again, maybe Ayer will set a precedent, and his DVD release will show that to us.
I'd like to mention that there has been said that there will be no director's cut of Suicide Squad.
But that's not to say there won't be deleted scenes. So
that's true.
You can bet about
deleted scenes, right?
You can bet about 24 hours after there'll be a very neat fan edit of this.
Right,
this movie.
Exactly.
And it will probably be way better than what Warner Brothers just shat out this weekend.
With your argument, though, what if the scenes come out and it's more of the same?
Oh,
then it doesn't matter.
Then it doesn't matter at all.
Right, and that's honestly what I think when we see the deleted scenes of Jared Leto as the Joker. I'm pretty sure it's just gonna be more of the same. I can't imagine his performance being drastically different than what we saw.
No, not different so much as seeing a side of it that completely and utterly vindicates it. I'm not like, it's possible that all these choices that we saw have some kind of just a touchstone that we didn't see. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm just saying it's possible that there's a version that will vindicate what we did. I don't know. Glass is half full, guys.
I mean, to me, it's just Jared Leto is like, they cut my scenes, and hopefully we never get to see them, because if people didn't like it, they're probably not going to like any more of it.
Well,
I don't know.
The thing. Test audiences are a fucked up thing, because if you hear one person tell you one thing, it's not a note worth thinking about. But if you hear 100 people tell you one thing, well, then it might be a thing. And right. I'm really curious. When those test audiences saw David Ayer's version of this movie and they complained about how they were made uncomfortable by something, or they didn't like something, I wonder very much if they didn't like it because it made them uncomfortable, or if they didn't like it because it was bad. My guess is, from the David Ayer films I've seen, that it made them uncomfortable. And you know what? If art makes you uncomfortable, put on your fucking grown-up pants.
Yeah.
Like, you're seeing a movie about criminals who fuck shit up for a living. So don't be surprised when the movie's a little darker, especially since we just saw the Capes Crusader and the Boy Scout in Blue basically just murder people for 2 hours. DC movies are going to be dark. Don't be surprised.
Wait, Matt, did you say that they're bad guys? Because I didn't think I got that from watching the movie when they mentioned it.
Well,
Every other fucking line.
They sure mentioned it, but I didn't see anybody do anything villainous. Like, they spent a lot of time talking about how bad they were.
Yeah, they all seem pretty nice.
We never got to see them be bad. Yeah, it was really, I mean, the only thing we really saw that was bad was, like, Slipknot punching a woman and saying she had a mouth. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, to the moon, Alice? Like, what 1950s abusive relationship are you trying to represent? With the exception of that, like, these people weren't really bad so much as people who like to say they were bad, and we're in jail, so we have to assume they're bad? I don't know, man. It was weak. It was weak. And to speak to one of your biggest complaints, which was the weakness of the villain, the original way this was written was that the June Moon relationship with Rick Flag was the basis of this film. If you think about it, this movie is a love story. It's two love stories. And the two love stories are completely undermined because one love story is about June and Rick and the way Rick is trying to save his love. And the other love story is about Harley and Mr. J, and about how this is a love that must die. This is a love that it can't be saved. And they wound up fundamentally ruining both love stories.
Exactly.
Yeah, by taking the love story of June Moon and really the origin of the Enchantress, it was originally the very beginning of the film. And they decided that we need to focus on Deadshot and Harley Quinn instead. And they made the first 20 minutes of the movie about them. And I really think that undermined the crux of this film because nobody gives a shit about the villain. And we should, because that villain is destroying Rick Flag's love story. And that is something we should care enough about to be invested in the film. And the fact that fell by the wayside so that we could see a bit more Will Smith and a bit more Margot Robbie is one of the biggest mistakes of this film.
And it also doesn't help that the actress that they cast in the role of the Enchantress is not much of an actress as much as a body to put a bikini on.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a problem for sure. I mean
I was just like, wow, she's just there to be a piece of like eye candy.
Yeah, I mean she's done enough. Like
in this film, she can't act because they didn't let her.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have faith in her as an actress.
Oh, no, I don't think that's necessarily it. I mean, there are she just had a lot of cut scenes. So it's hard to say whether she can or can't. I mean, think about the amount of shit that we saw in trailers that we didn't see in that movie. I don't know about you, but I didn't see the I can't wait to show you my toys moment. That's not in the movie at all. Like Joker with his burned up face and the grenade in his hand, that's not in the movie. Like there's a lot of stuff that's in the trailer because it was in the movie. And then it had to get cut because Warner Brothers has no confidence.
I feel like when the deleted scenes come out and we watch them, and if they're still bad, I think then we can all agree that this movie's a turd. Because I feel like even now we're still kind of towing the line.
Well,
because it was reshot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really tricky when you have a movie that has this kind of studio interference, that has this because honestly, as I was watching it, I just kept feeling like I was watching Fantastic Four from last year, Fan Four Stick. I felt like so frequently there was an emotional moment undermined by bad editing and reshoots, and you could feel it. I mean, there was no terrible wig on Mara to make it quite as much of an obvious, like they may as well put a bug in the corner saying reshoot every time those shots came up with that wig in Fan Four Stick, but. In this movie, they did a much better job of having visual continuity, but you could feel potently the emotional and narrative continuity just jarring you. And every time that happened, that was bad reshooting, bad restructuring, terrible attempts to make a movie into a different movie.
And I want to point something out because we've talked about a lot of the performances in the film. And we've really talked about the ones that get the most attention, or in Leto's case, the least attention, but are the most kind of glaringly not good. pretty much everybody else in this film is not given a whole lot to do. Adam Beach's Slipknot. There's not even the fact that I brought it up is astounding. Jai Courtney. I guess we finally get to see that Jai Courtney has a personality as an actor, because up until this point he has been not the guy who is not Sam Worthington, but is also from Australia.
Well, and it might be the fact that he was allowed to not speak in an accent. It's possible that his attempts to use other dialects have gotten in the way of his ability to show his performance and his chops. Because when he was allowed to just be Australian, I really enjoyed him a lot. And I also found, personally, the Slipknot dying early in the film thing is a throwback to one of the first brilliant moments in the 87 reinvention of Suicide Squad in the comics, where Boomerang kind of manipulates Slipknot into having his tracker blow him up. And that's I thought that was great, because you needed to have one of the guys or one of the girls in the Suicide Squad lineup get blown up in order to have them all fall in line. And it sucks that it had to be one of the ethnic minorities. Why not blow up a white guy? Because we got enough of them. It sucked that it had to be Adam Beach, but they were shooting it in Canada. They needed a Canadian to be able to get enough tax credits. So sure, blow him up early.
And before we close this out, the other character I want to mention is Killer Croc, who similar to Doomsday, the design was another muddled turd with eyes.
I didn't mind the design so much. I mean, I love the character of Killer Croc, and I mostly was exposed to him as a kid when I was watching Batman the Animated Series, and I love the tragedy of Killer Croc. And, making him a guy in a suit is, I think, a better choice. Well, making him a guy in makeup is a better choice than a guy in a suit, and both of them are a better choice than a CGI character. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said I thought his character design was good.
And he got nothing to do in the film either.
Well, and there were beautiful things he did in the script. That's the other thing that fucks me up. That character has such a wonderful, tragic element to him, and none of it comes through in the film because he's given one thing to do. And that underwater battle that happened, my wife had to tell me that's what I just saw, because I didn't notice that there was an underwater fight happening. And I mean, aside from the narrative Deus Ex Machina convenience of, we have an aquatic member and he can go underwater. Aside from that, and I don't quite understand where the water came from that flooded it out anyway, but aside from that, it was just too convenient, too dumb, and too poorly shot. I'd rather he was CGI so that you could at least make it an easy-to-see sequence, because however they shot that, it was just a mess.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, all the action in the film was a mess.
Yeah, the cinematography was just kind of bad. There was nothing really iconic and beautiful about the way it was shot. I mean, David Ayer's not one for iconic, beautiful cinematography, but it's a comic book. It's a graphic novel. So we want to see frames. We want to see splash panels. We want to see moments that are memorable. And there were visually very few. A few of them made the commercials and ads and trailers. But for a 2-hour movie, it was sadly lacking in visual splendor.
I agree. I completely agree. Well, starting with Sean, skip it or watch it, best performance.
I could say you can skip this one. Best performance. Who did I like? I mean,
it's like you have 3 choices, pretty much.
I know, but the thing is, you also have 1,000 choices. If you really want to, I liked Viola Davis. I liked that character. I think I liked that character the most because I feel like I understood it the most, or at least what they were.
Even though it felt like she was in a different movie, but that's a different story.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I feel like the whole I have a lot of problems with what made sense, but I out of the Suicide Squad, I really liked Jai Courtney. I thought he was cute and funny, so that's all you get out of me.
What about you, Matt?
I mean, I'd say skip it, but it just made $137 million, so it might be too late. You probably already saw it. Skip it.
But to be fair, there's that second weekend drop-off, Matt. Just like Batman vs. Superman, the second weekend drop-off is coming.
Well, and I mean, it made less money than Batman v Superman, which is considered by some to be a middling success. So it'll be interesting to see if this movie ever is considered a success. But I'd say for me, the best performance was Ezra Miller, because I'm so excited for The Flash, because maybe they won't fuck this one up. It sounds like they fucked up all the other ones at this point, but The Flash might be good. Even though that moment of Ezra Miller was directed by Zack Snyder, and everything else, every other performance was directed by David Ayer. I gotta say, Ezra, I enjoyed that, 8 seconds of The Flash, because compared to the 8 seconds of The Flash in Batman v Superman, it was glorious. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, skip it if you can. Watch it on DVD. It's got to be better.
I'm going to say skip it. Obviously, it's a mess. It's a reshot, jumbled, tonally inconsistent. We didn't really talk about the tonal inconsistency of the movie, but that obviously comes with reshoots and...
Well, this kind of reshoots. I mean, there's two kinds of reshoots.
Right, yeah.
I've done reshoots on a film, and just to be clear, reshoots sometimes just means you're going back to get to smooth out some stuff, or to get more stuff that you really liked. They did reshoots on Ant-Man, and when they did, they were able to get that really great Stan Lee cameo, and they got that excellent other last sort of tacked on scene between Michael Pena talking about Spider-Man. So like Ant-Man had some beautiful reshoots. This kind of reshoot, the studio imposed reshoot where David Ayer probably didn't write it, and David Ayer might not have even directed it. Those reshoots, those are bad.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's, and that's the real issue is, and then the reshoots coming because, BVS had a bad reaction. It's just this whole film.
Reshoots because of focus groups. That's the worst reason for a reshoot.
And reading some of the stuff where they said, well, they showed Ayer's version, they showed the studio cut version, and then they went down the middle. That right there, that's the tonal inconsistency. I mean, there it is. So
yeah, they gotta stop They gotta just stop greenlighting scripts they're not going to put into the theater. Like that is their main problem.
If you don't like the way someone wrote it, then don't let them start shooting it.
Right.
Yeah.
End of story. It's that simple, folks. But for me, it's a total skip. I think DC has one more chance in my book, because I didn't go see Man of Steel in theaters. I saw BVS in theaters, and I saw this in theaters. I would say they have one more chance with me, with the fanboys who are fucking trying to light Rotten Tomatoes on fire. First off, I'd like to mention to you, Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregator website. They don't write the reviews. Sorry to tell you that if you understand what aggregation means. If not, you can Google it. It's pretty easy. But I know the fanboys don't care, and they're convinced that the critics have it out for the DC Comics.
Oh, they're also convinced of like crazy shit, like Marvel is paying for bad reviews. Like there's bazonkers crazy ideas about what's actually going on here.
Marvel doesn't have to pay for bad reviews because they're paying to make good movies.
Exactly. They're busy putting money into paying a director to actually make a movie they want to make.
And they're not monkeying with it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. They monkeyed with Avengers. They monkeyed with Avengers Age of Ultron big time. But that was, again, because Joss Whedon wrote a script that was too long, and that's Joss's fault, man. You can't hand in a 200-page script and say, yeah, I'm going to make that, and it's going to be a 2-hour movie. That's crazy.
But looking back on Avengers 2 now, it was a means to an end.
Oh, absolutely. I think it made it... With Avengers 2, we had so much goodwill for the Marvel Cinematic Universe that it didn't matter that it wasn't as good as the first one, because we had some great, awesome things that happened in that film. But, you can't make your second movie terrible. Well, I guess you can, because Edward Norton's Hulk movie was terrible. But, at least the movie that came before that, Iron Man, was amazing. So you get some goodwill when your first movie's Iron Man, but the DC Universe hasn't had its Iron Man yet. So it's not allowed to get away with bullshit.
They have 2 more chances, and there's a reason the Justice League movie is 1 movie, not 2 now. I'm just saying.
You betcha.
There's a reason. So, but best performance, I have to agree with Sean. Jai Courtney. I honestly have never seen anything that Jai Courtney was remotely good in, because it always felt like he was just fake, like knockoff Bruce Willis. He just like kind of this stoic act. He was underutilized in this film completely, and that's disappointing.
Most of them were.
There's actually a lot of scenes that have been cut, a lot of moments that were cut about Boomerang that involved him being a huge misogynist and racist, because, I don't know, I guess that's something that he's generally a shithead. Like, that's the thing about Captain Boomerang. He's basically just a shithead. But he had a lot of racist things to say to Katana, who he obviously had like a thing for. And so, I think there might have been some other cool stuff he did, but people decided you're not allowed to see this character be a bad guy, even though it's a movie about bad guys. Yeah.
That's what they just kept plugging and reinforcing in the film as they're bad guys, and then they don't commit to the idea.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, no. She stole. Harley Quinn stole a purse.
Right. Oh, excuse me. What do you think it has on Rotten Tomatoes as of right now?
Oh, I'd say it's like 23% by now. It's got to keep plunging. I'd say 23% critic, but probably like fucking 80% fanboy.
Damn, that's going to be interesting. Okay, well then, I didn't actually know at all what it was, so I'll say 30. I'll say 30-70.
26% critic. Suicide Squad boasts a talented cast and a little more humor than the previous DCEU efforts, but they aren't enough to save the disappointing end result from a muddled plot, thinly written characters, and choppy directing. I'd like to point out that the top critic score is a 19%, 7% lower than the all critic. The audience score is a whopping 73%. Wow. It's not that hard, though, when people were putting in 10 out of 10 before the movie even came out.
Yeah,
that's pathetic.
That is the most pathetic thing known to man. Like, you're not helping your case by saying it's a 10 out of 10. I haven't even seen it. Best movie of the year.
10 out of 10 for the trailer. The trailer was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, right? It's like reverse Ghostbusters. Trailer terrible. Trailer awesome.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Oh, Christ. Before we talk about next week's Kulturecast, Matt, anything you're working on now?
Nothing that my non-disclosure agreements are allowing me to talk about at the moment. But cool things happening for sure, and hopefully by the time we do the next one, I'll have some neat stuff to tell you about.
I heard those NDAs with J.J. Abrams are killer. You know what I mean? Wink, 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 wink.
Like I said, nothing I can talk about.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I got, I think, 1 or 2 more episodes of Ghosts and stuff coming out. So check that out. It'll be on my Facebook page. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm Seaniver. And on Facebook, I'm Sean Liang.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Kulturestash. And if you like what you're hearing now, head on over to the newly redesigned cultureshock.com. Check out the Kulturecast page and just check out the site in general. As always, big thanks to Avoca for providing the intro, outro music for the podcast. That song you're hearing is off their first self-titled album. And if you want to kick a couple dollars our way and help us keep the lights on, head on over to patreon.com/culture_shocked. Next week, we're going to be getting back to the Nick Cage movies. So that's a thing that's happening, unfortunately. Matt, big thanks as always to you for sitting down and talking with us about another controversial film.
Oh, it seems to be my specialty. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, apparently it does. We need to figure out what the next one is for next month, and then just keep going controversial until the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. We're done with DC for the year. So
thank goodness.
Ain't that the truth?